says sports.lakers. I'm your host, Allie Clifton. Joining me is not one, but both of the Cam brothers. It's Andy and
just
Brian.
Just a couple of Muppets, Allie.
And I'm the lucky one.
Sometimes the stuff that happens before the show is so shocking that it takes me out of my headspace.
Yeah, right. What's the podcast again? Tell us.
Locked on Lakers.
Locked on Lakers.
Okay. Remember that. Lock that in your brain. Guys, I'm excited to see the both of you. It'll be a fun show. It was a big day for Laker fans on Tuesday as one of the city's own returned back home. Russell Westbrook was introduced as a Laker to the media, holding his gold Laker jersey for the very first time. The former UCLA Bruin has plenty of accolades, which include NBA MVP, 9-time All-Star. But when asked about what it was like to be back in his hometown, he was at a loss for words.
Man, it's surreal. I think it still hasn't kind of hit me yet that being from LA, growing up not too far from here, being able to watch the parades, try to go to them, miss school to try to go to them, being a Laker fan and being from LA, but now everything coming full circle for me is it's a blessing. You know, it's a lot of things I can't put into actual words just because, you know, some of these dreams don't come true for people like myself. And I'm truly blessed and thankful for this opportunity, and you know, I can't wait to get started. And then secondly, I've been blessed to be able to go into my 14th season as it pertains to ball handling and all that. It really doesn't matter. There's many different ways you can impact the game without having the ball in your hands. And I've been able to do that for many years, and I will figure it out.
I mean, I think anytime you have three great players like this, there is an element of sacrifice required, and you know, we've all talked about that and are all in on that. But these three guys can do it all, you know. And what I love about our group, Bron, AD, and Russ, is they're all make the right play players. You know what I mean? It's not just about scoring or being a one-dimensional player. You know, they can all do it all. You know, so. I'm most excited about seeing what the three of them on the court at the same time looks like. I think we're going to be an extremely dynamic, fast-breaking team, and one that you know, can play. They can play off of all three guys in many different ways. So, you know, I think with the speed, athleticism of those guys, plus the guys the complementary parts we put together, the shooters and the defenders. I think we got a real chance this year to do something special, and it's on us now to put in the work, you know. And if you get this type of talented guys to buy in and put in the work, you know, hopefully we can achieve something special.
Now, the Lakers' big three have quite an impressive resume. 5 MVPs between LeBron and Westbrook, 5 titles between the group, 30 all-NBA team selections, and numerous all-star game appearances. It is the first time we have heard from the both of you on this move with Russell Westbrook. I want your thoughts, your reaction. BK, we'll start with you.
As a basketball thing, it is maybe one of the 3 or 4 most fascinating things I think that's happened in the NBA because, you know, over the last few years, just because the stuff that Russ does well. You heard Frank Vogel talk about getting up and down the floor, igniting the fast break. He's going to help the Lakers out in incredible ways with that, taking some of that playmaking burden away from LeBron, energizing the second unit when LeBron's not on the floor. There are so many ways where Westbrook is so obviously an upgrade. And then there's certain ways where in the modern NBA with the shooting and the spacing that you wonder how exactly is this going to work? What's going to happen when Westbrook doesn't have the ball? All of that stuff. And the talent is so good with those 3 guys that I agree with Westbrook, with Westbrook when he said, we'll figure it out over the course of the year. I think they will. But watching them do that is going to be fascinating, I think.
It just struck me as it's so Lakery. Like, this is such a Lakers thing to have happen. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I'm just saying this is an organization that's ethos, its DNA, all of its association is stars. And they've got 3 massive stars on this team. Like, this is the memes coming to life where, you know, Laker fans on social media think that they can get every single big player, whether they're available, free agent, trade, whatever. And is it the cleanest, simplest fit between the 3 of them? No. I mean, there are other things they could have done this offseason that are more immediately obvious. You know, there have been a lot of reports about Buddy Hield being available. Bringing him in as a shooter is a cleaner, simpler thing to do. But this has more potential upside, and it's also, this is just the Laker way to do it.
It's so much cooler.
It's right?
way
because
cooler.
it is everything but small.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not
Go
small.
big or go home.
Nothing about Russ and how he plays. And I mean, I think one of the things that is going to be so much fun about this and is going to be so valuable is culturally what he's going to do for them in terms of driving the team forward and providing an energy. I mean, nobody plays harder. Nobody plays with, you know, you heard Rob Pelinka talk about force. Like, that is Russell Westbrook. And you get 35, 40, 50, 60 games into a season, and it's a grind or whatever. Westbrook's going to be a guy who can push them through that and add a little bit more urgency than just LeBron can himself, and I think takes some of that pressure off of AD. To be a guy who pushes people in that way. AD can now just go play. And I think that's great.
Look, the both of you already kind of went there, but let's dive in a little bit more to the big three when you think about them. LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook. Russ said it himself. There's going to be ups and downs. What are you anticipating, maybe how long it's going to take for them to gel? What do you think that's going to look like?
I mean, I think they're going to have to figure out different ways for everybody to contribute when they don't have the ball. And Russ has said before that he's done that over the course of his career, but if you look at his usage numbers, the data might say otherwise. I mean, Russ has the ball in his hands a lot. LeBron has the ball in his hands a lot. Anthony Davis will have the ball in his hands a lot. All three of them deserve to have the ball in their hands. But they're going to have to find ways that they can work as a trio off each other, even getting the ball to each other, where they can still have utility when two of them, or in particular, Russ and LeBron, don't have it. Like, it's going to be some tinkering. It's going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, and I think this is where, you know, a lot of the free agent moves that they've made are going to be really important. Which guys pan out, which lineup combinations work to unlock and let them do the things that they do really well, emphasize the stuff that Russ can bring to this team without highlighting the stuff that he's more limited in. Again, the spacing, the outside shooting, and things like that. But one of the things I think does work, whenever you add a third player to this, there's always the concern about egos and are there enough basketball? I don't worry about any of that. I don't think that's not the problem. It is a 100% basketball issue. How do you make these three very particular, very talented players work together in a way that maximizes everything? But if I had to choose between an ego problem and a basketball problem, you take the basketball problem every time, and you figure that out, I think, and, you know, as opposed to the chemistry issues that could come up.
I mean, talk about egos. They fit two Cam brothers on the same podcast at the same time.
And some would say
you
it's
guys
not
figured
working.
it out. No one says that.
Look, Shaq and Kobe won titles. They didn't get along. It's fine. It's
which one's Shaq? Which one's Kobe?
I don't know.
Shaq.
You think Andy's Shaq?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's more pleasant.
Maybe that is a Twitter poll, but for now, we're going to talk about rotations when it comes
to a Twitter poll that everybody's going to look at and go, what?
Andy,
we're going to talk about rotations.
Andy does get healthy on company time. That's for sure.
We don't know what it's going to look like for the Lakers, but let's give it a shot, if you will. BK, you're going to go first. You're going to give us your closing lineup that you think we'll see. Maybe be the best.
Jeez. You know, the one that Andy's going to give, I think, is also one that I agree. But I'm actually starting to think that there could be a little bit of a mix and match here thing going, you know, with obviously the big three of Westbrook at the point, and you have, you know, LeBron and AD. I think Trevor Ariza is penciled in there right now because of his defensive ability in the front court. They don't have a lot of that, and so if AD's playing center, you're going to need Ariza there as well. The big question is at the 2 spot, and I think Wayne Ellington is a guy who could be there, depending on the lineup, depending on the score, depending on all these other things, because of his ability to spread the floor and create space for people. But that's predicated on whether or not Ellington holds up well enough defensively. I think a lot of what Frank Vogel could do is just spread it around. Some nights it could be Kent Bazemore. Some nights you could see Kendrick Nunn, I think, closing with Russell Westbrook. I think you could even see Carmelo Anthony on the floor, depending on the right matchups. I think there could very well be a lot of mixing and matching. You know, who's playing well at any given time.
It depends what you need.
And who's playing defense.
Yep, got it. What about you? Closing lineup.
I think what Brian had out there, 4/5 of what I'm expecting, but I would sub out Wayne Ellington and put in Kent Bazemore. And I think the Lakers are going to need that versatility that Bazemore brings defensively, a lot of what you would want in Trevor Ariza. It gives them a really switchable lineup. Assuming Bazemore's three-point shooting, even if it's not what it was last season, which was a career-high 41%, if it can stay in the high 30s, I think the upside of all the different options that Bazemore gives you, he's an experienced guy. He's played with really smart players, particularly most recently with the Warriors. That's the guy that I think is more likely than Ellington. Again, just he can give you more options, more upside.
I think that's the lineup they want. I think that if that turned out to be the 5 at the end of games, that would be ideally what, if I had to guess, Rob Pelinka and Frank Vogel are thinking today would be the best configuration they have.
Yeah, competitiveness too. Baze has taken on a lot of challenges against LeBron over the years, which has been fun to watch. Some news regarding a former Laker now, Dennis Schroeder, is now heading to the Boston Celtics, reportedly on a one-year deal worth